A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, Hugh from Plaguelands Media here, and today I'm bringing you a look at Grim Hollow. Grim Hollow was a Kickstarter that I backed from Ghostfire Gaming, and this is basically an alternate setting for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. So this is everything that came in the Kickstarter. I have the campaign guide, the player's guide there. I have this thing, which I haven't opened yet, so I don't actually know what this is. Oh, this is a poster. Okay, let's just... Very cool. Very cool art there, okay. Not bad, I'll put that to one side. I have some, you get some stickers. Okay. Some battle maps. Some very large battle maps, which are double-sided. Okay, you can see the squares, so if you are playing this on the tabletop with miniatures, a lot of people play that way, then you can use the battle maps. I'll put that. We have a box of spell and ability cards, which have all the information on it. Okay, very tightly packed in there. I'm not going to get into that. But the books are what I mainly want to talk about. So Grim Hollow started as the writer's basically homebrew campaign. And let me just make it a little bit bigger, zoom in a bit, there we go. And it's dark fantasy. So when you open it up, you have this beautiful map of the world of Etheris, I believe it's called. Let me just, there we go. And then we get into the table of contents. So basically it's an explanation of the sort of campaign style that kind of fits this setting. And then we have the races of Etheris: humans, elves, dwarves, half-orcs, half-elves, dragonborn, gnomes, halflings. So all the classic Dungeons & Dragons races there. Some advanced weapon properties, some new feats, new spells, all stuff that you would expect from a typical campaign. But the dark fantasy side of it comes into play with things like curses. Curses in Dungeons & Dragons, straightforward spell, doesn't really do anything all that kind of... what's the word I'm looking for? Curses are just curses. You cast a curse on someone and they get minuses to their rolls or disadvantage or whatever, however you want to play it. But here, curses are more involved. So curses have basically progression, escalation as they call it. So, for example, the curse of conceited obsession. So you cast this curse on someone. They have to be someone on the same plane of existence as you. And then there's a triggering event. So if the person passes their save against the curse being cast on them, then they know that someone is trying to curse them. If they fail, they don't know, and then the next time the triggering event happens, it goes into stage 1. So in this case, the curse of conceited obsession, The triggering event, they look into a mirror or a reflective surface, and that reflective surface cracks. And then they go to stage 1. The cursed creature is compelled to stop and admire themselves whenever they see their own reflection. Okay, so you get a little bit of role-playing stuff here that you can kind of fit into your story. However, there are different stages to the curse. The curse is going to escalate. The way a curse escalates is the morning of the next day. The players have to roll. They roll a d20 and they've got to get over 1. If they get over 1, nothing happens. But the next day, that roll needs to be over 2, and then over 3, and then over 4, and then over 5. When they fail that roll, it moves to the next stage. Here, the cursed creature becomes obsessed with looking for and finding its own reflection wherever it goes. The cursed creature has disadvantage on attack rolls. So the curse is getting worse here. Stage 3, the cursed creature is driven to find, or if necessary, build a location where it can see its own reflection from many angles. The cursed creature is compelled to remain in this location and admire itself. Additionally, attack rolls against the creature gain advantage. For those of you that aren't familiar with advantage and disadvantage, advantage is you roll 2 dice and take the best one. Disadvantage is you roll 2 dice, take the worst one. And then upon failing the final escalation, the cursed creature twists into a deformed figure and becomes a weeping willow. If the creature is a player character, they become an NPC under the GM's control. So you can see that these are quite deadly. We have the curse of damned aging, the curse of foul blight, curse of ill-fated fortune, curse of insatiable greed, curse of lost sentiment, curse of ravenous hunger, curse of uncontrollable wrath. Lots of great curses and fantastic story ideas for Dungeon Masters there, playing around those. Some variant mechanics. Now this is another aspect that I really love about the Grim Hollow setting, is transformations. Over the course of a game, the characters can transform into other things. They can become an aberrant horror. And these are both good and bad, of course. Where they kind of mutate into something from the outer planes, I guess. And you can see here with each transformation level, they choose one, or they gain all the boons, but they gain a flaw. They get one of the green boons, the flaw, one of the boons, flaw, one of the boons, and then a flaw. So you can transform into an aberrant horror, you can transform into a fiend, you can transform into a lich, which is really cool. You can transform into a lycanthrope. What dark fantasy setting wouldn't be complete without werewolves? My absolute favourite creature in this kind of setting. The seraph has become kind of like an angel. And of course a vampire, which is really cool. And then we have backgrounds, which are really for role-playing purposes. I think they're great, but some people probably don't want to play with them. It all depends on your gaming group, I guess. So you have all different backgrounds you can kind of choose from to flesh your characters out. Criminals, villagers, military people, outlanders, explorers. Beautiful art as well in this book. They did a fantastic job. Different talents. And then we have the realms of Etheris, fleshed out very, very well in a lot of detail. A lot of, like, reading through this, there is a lot of great story ideas. Look at that, just phenomenal art in this. So you have, this goes on and on and on. I'm not going to city-states, factions. Then we have the Etheris Pantheon, with all the different kind of beings that are worshipped. Arch-seraphs and archdemons. Primordials, Aether Kindred. Then we have this section. Now this section was very, very interesting. Renowned characters of Ethos. So I'm assuming that at some point these are characters that the creators have played, perhaps, in their homebrew campaign. But you get a little bit of story, so you can include these. Have your players meet them if you want to. Then we have the DM's Guide to Dark Fantasy, in case people are not familiar with the tone of a dark fantasy setting, which is really helpful, actually. Grievous wounds, permanent wounds, kind of cool. A little bit of contraband. Then Fables of Ethos these are kind of like adventures that you can run. So we have the Tavern of the Lost. So a little setting you can send your characters to. Facets of Darkness. I'm not going to go into these in case you're a player and your GM is going to be running this. The Blood Knight and the 5 Relics. And of course, what campaign book wouldn't be complete without some new monsters? So we have the Bloated Gastromorph, the Dream Whisperer, Verminous Abomination. Gee, I wonder what that resembles. Skaven. Avatar of Slaughter, the Weeping Willow, Body Snatcher, Plague Carrion, Herald of Calamity. These are all the backers. And then you've got the kind of in there. So you can see this was a very popular Kickstarter campaign. Then your index, and then the license agreement with Wizards of the Coast. So that was the campaign guide. Fantastic book. Really impressed. Really straightforward. And if my group ever finishes their Call of Cthulhu campaign, which I doubt they will, I would be looking to run something like this. Okay, the Player's Guide now. I'm a huge fan of Player's Guides. They usually offer a lot more options. This one, again, we have the map of Ethos. This one is no exception. So we have some information on Dark Fantasy. We get some new races. Love new races. Here we have the Welsh kind, which is kind of like a wooden boy or wooden puppet come to life, kind of like Pinocchio. The Laneshi, Ogresh, Downcast, Dreamers, and the Disembodied. Some great new races there, lots of fun. We get some more stuff about the lands of Ethos. This is stuff that the players' characters would probably know if they were from that region. Magic of Ethos, so the colleges, magic. Divine Magic in Ethos, playing as a cleric or a paladin. Nature Magic. Now, this is where the book really shines. These new subclasses that they have created for each class. So those of you that don't know in Dungeons & Dragons, when you create your character, you pick a class: Barbarian, Bard, Fighter, Monk, whatever. And at third level, second level for some, I believe, third level for most, you get to pick a subclass of that class. So for the Barbarian here, this is one of my absolute favorite Barbarian subclasses, the Path of the Fraction. So Barbarians pick a path, And in this case, your barbarian becomes like a Jekyll and Hyde type of character. So when they rage, they kind of transform into this hulking beast. It's a really cool idea and fits perfectly well with the like gothic horror theme that they're going for with Grim Hollow, this dark fantasy. Path of the Primal Spirit, where you get a primal companion. Bardic Colleges, College of Adventurers, College of Requiems. Very cool. The Cleric Domains, you have Eldritch, and the Inquisition Domain, which is really, really cool, kind of like Witch Hunters. For Druids, Circle of Blood, Circle of Mutation. Circle of Mutation is really cool. It reminds me a lot of the Circle of Spores, I believe it was, from the Ravnica sourcebook. You can create blood elementals. That's awesome. That's like from Shadowrun. The Bulwark Warrior, the Living Crucible, very cool. For monastic traditions, the Way of the Leaden Crown and the Way of Pride. For paladins, Oath of Pestilence. That sounds really cool to me. I really like that idea. Oath of Zeal. For rangers, you have the Green Reaper. Kind of uses poisons. And the Vermin Lord. Again, some really great subclasses. The Rogue has the Highway Rider and the Misfortune Bringer, which is pretty cool. Sorceress Origins, you can have a Haunted Origin or a Wretched Bloodline. Warlock Patrons, the First Vampire. That is just awesome to me. And the Parasite. I mean, look at that. Look at that guy. Just so good. And Wizard Traditions, Plague Doctor, and School of Sangromancy, which is basically using blood to cast your spells. We have more information on transformations, a few different boons and flaws that you can take in your transformations, which is cool. Seraph. And we have new transformations. Fae. So you can basically turn into a fairy. Primordial. Spectre, which is really cool. You become like a spirit. We have more backgrounds. Advanced backgrounds, which is, you know, all new options, which is all great. New archetypes you can use, which is pretty mad. New spells. Some really cool new spells here as well. Some more advanced weapons, which advanced weapons in this case give you a kind of a bonus, but with a hindrance attached to it. And magic items, which is something that wasn't in the campaign guide, but that is okay. Items for transformations. Generic items, trinkets. Inspiration and Corruption, so some new optional rules there. And then talks about having a session 0, which, pardon me, I really think is necessary for a Dungeon Master and players to do. The session 0 basically allows the Dungeon Master to help the players create characters that are going to be tailored perfectly well to the story that the Dungeon Master wants to tell, and also to make sure that that is a story the players want. I mean, some people are not going to like a dark fantasy game. Some people aren't going to like the themes of a horror game, things like that. So this is a really nice addition. And then we have the index. So this was Grim Hollow, campaign guide, player's guide, and the other extra stuff. Absolutely love this campaign setting. It really is just so rich, and reading through it, I can already have some ideas as to the sort of things that I would like to run a game in this setting. What I'd like to do. If you go to Ghostfire Gaming's website, you can actually subscribe to a series of adventures that they are releasing online, if that is something that you are interested in. They also have the monster manual, the monster guide, Monster Bestiary coming out. I did back it on Kickstarter, so I'm just waiting for that to arrive. I think that's going to be cool. And when it does, I will be giving you another quick review. But this was my Kickstarter for Grim Hollow. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like it, go and check out Ghostfire Gaming. Please follow Plaguelands Media on Facebook, at our website, plaguelandsmedia.com. All the information's at the end of this video. Please like, please subscribe, please leave a comment. Please stay safe. I will see you all in the next